Hello and welcome to Geoscope on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes. Not things aren't going exactly as they're supposed to today because Ollie hasn't turned up, and it's probably because I changed the time of the show. So I hope you can all hear me. Hope you can all see me. But big shout out to everyone in the audience out there. We've got Billy Kershaw in the chat. We've got Dave W. We've got Sarah Davis, Roger. We've also got Duke in there. We've got Roxy. We've got Noor. We've got Steve. That's how they say no round here in Durham. They go no. They don't say no. They say no. Stephen Fairley, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. First super chat of the evening. Of this stream anyway. Because we've just been building Lego. We've been building the globe, the world out of Lego. Yay! But now we're just waiting for Ollie to turn up. I don't know where Ollie is. Where are you, Ollie? We used to have so much fun. Someone tell me where Ollie's gone. Well, in lieu of Ollie turning up and telling us what's going down, turning up to tell us what's going down, we're just going to jump into talking a little bit about Trump's inauguration and the little shit that he did as a consequence. So he reiterated his desire to go and invade Panama. That was a thing that he actually said out of the horrible hole that he calls his face. And he also pardoned 1,600 convicted criminals, violent criminals, one of whom was in jail for 22 years for his crimes against the United States of America. There were men who tasered police officers, and they just got away with it. They just absolutely got away with it. Not only that, they've been pardoned, full pardon, and they're obviously going to join his brown shirt. So Trump has at least 1,600 brown shirts now who will die for him. They'll do anything for him. If he says, I want you to, do yourself in on my behalf, suicide bombing or whatever, they will do it. They will do it for him because he is their godhead. He is everything they've ever wanted, which is to feel important when they're not, you see. That's the problem with people like that, psychopaths. They want to feel like they can actually change the world, and they can't. They can't change it for the better. They can only change it for the worse, and that's what they plan to do. So where's the bowler hat man? I don't know, Anthony. I don't know where he is. I might give him a call. Should I give him a call? He called them hostages. He did indeed call them hostages, which is quite nuts. I'm thinking that I might just give him a call. Just get me thrown out. Ollie, where are you, Ollie? Ollie, can you hear me? Ollie, come free, baby. Name the song. You don't get any prizes, but you will get my infinite appreciation. We got a wait. This stream is an oligarchy too. Well, it's an Ollie-less oligarchy at the moment. So we're just gonna give Ollie a call. Just ringing him. He's probably having his dinner. So like, Graham, we're not supposed to be doing this for an hour. And I'd be like, yeah, it takes 6:30. It's fun. Do you want to watch me make a phone call? Come, watch Graham make phone calls on Politics Social. Oh, call declined. I've been red buttoned. Man. But he has actually seen me messages now. On my way, he says. So there you go. Maybe he forgot. I don't know. The full pardon entitles them to buy guns again. Yeah, of course it does, because this is his plan. This is why I keep saying that Trump is going to be in power now until the day he dies. And I keep getting told by Democrats and Democrat adjacent people that no, of course not. You got to believe in the American people. You got to believe in the institutions of America. And here's the thing: I don't believe in the American people. I certainly don't believe in the institutions of America that allowed a convicted criminal to become the president, the most powerful man on the planet. If this was some kind of backwater basket case banana republic, we'll be going, ha ha ha! Isn't it funny that they've allowed this obvious criminal to become their leader? you know. But obviously that's quite harmless because they're just in charge of a small country in Western Africa. But no, that's not the case here. The case is that this guy's in charge of the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. And yeah, you've got people giving this whole spiel about how he's going to be restrained by this and restrained by that. And I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. Now, maybe Ollie, when Ollie turns up, can tell us differently. Maybe there are constraints on Trump, but here are my predictions. And look, if you're not feeling so good about all this, I understand that. And if you don't want to give yourself a break from all the shit, I would honestly recommend that you don't watch any more of this episode, because we are going to be talking about this and we are going to be going pretty deep into what I think is going to happen. And I don't see any reason why it won't. That's the thing. And I fell for this before, you know, the wishful thinking. I thought that Brexit wouldn't happen because it was too stupid. How could Britain be so stupid to actually let it happen? You know, I mean, the vote was one thing, but once we knew it was going to ruin us in every way, politically, sociologically, financially, economically, it's probably the same thing, but like in every way it was going to ruin us, and yet it happened. It actually happened. And that hit me for six. It absolutely hit me for six. And I'm still pissed at myself that I didn't get one of the last good passports before they changed it to the shitty black ones, which have got no pictures inside it. But never mind. I suspect Trump have a lot of time to live. Oh, we have an Ollie. A wild Ollie has appeared. This is very exciting for everyone. Say hello, Ollie. Hello. That's all right, mate. It's all right. It's my fault. I text you 5 minutes before the show, and I'm like, "You ready?" And it's like, if you don't see your phone in that 5 minutes, it's a bit of a trap, isn't it? Sorry, I was doing another stream. Yeah. Did you get lost? Did you get lost in Yorkshire? Yeah. Whoopsies. We've got. I just want to get a bit welcome to our members of the fraternity and sorority. Sorority is that the right word? I don't know. Of socialites, of socialists here on the channel. If I just, sorry, I've just realised I have to adjust something for this in order for this to work. But then it should say welcome members. Yay, welcome new members. This is going out to Yvonne Okafor, who's been a member for 1 month as a Lone Star. I suspect Trump has a lot of time to live, and that's my worry. And W. Janes is there with some breaking news. We're fucked. What's your take on it, Ollie? We're trying to look at this perspective. We haven't quite got there yet because I've been rabbiting on about the pardons he's giving out. But we want the perspective of different countries around the world. So let's name a country, and then we'll talk about how they're feeling about all this. So should we start with Panama? You've disappeared. You're just ahead like Holly and Red Dwarf.
We are taking back the Panama Canal, and if you don't give it back to us, we're going to invade.
Yeah.
And that, if you are Panama, is very, very worrying. If you've got, a country like America saying, that's ours, we built it, should never have been given away, we're coming back for it, then yeah, I think you are, if you're the president of Panama, if you're the president of Panamania. Yeah,
I've got the Panamania.
If you're a Panamanian, you're probably very, very worried.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Quite rightly, because Trump's a psychopath. But do you think this is the madman technique that he does, where he pretends to be a lunatic so people will give him free stuff? Like his beef with Panama is that he thinks they're overcharging American ships, which they're not. They're charging everyone else more. Oh, sorry, we've got to stop things immediately. Just that's breaking news. Puninator's dropped in a super chat, mate. £2.
No.
Thank you, Puninator. wants to know, where's the bowler hat, man? Could have done that
Um,
a bit earlier, couldn't we? When you
yeah.
weren't here, it could have said, "Where's the bowler hat, man? Man." That would have worked. France wants that
Uh,
statue back. Oh, Billy Kershaw, good points. What if they want the Statue of Liberty back? But yeah, in Panama, it does seem like his goal for this is to make Panama give America a special deal, so the ships don't have to cost so much going through the
yeah,
Panama Canal.
this is the typical Trump strategy of what they call asking for the extreme position.
Yeah,
And we saw this last time he was in office.
negotiating
So you're
technique.
probably going to see this a lot happen
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Again with Mexico. Last time he threatened to put a big tariff on their car production.
yeah,
And that would have been quite bad for Mexico. What it eventually got was the renegotiation of NAFTA. This
yeah,
time he's asking for like 30% tariffs,
yeah,
meaning that he clearly wants, something here. And
yeah,
whatever you get here is the win, because that's what he wanted. Meanwhile, he's asking for the extreme position. The problem then becomes, what happens when someone just goes, okay, put 30% tariffs on us?
yeah.
Because if we go to Canada for a second, Canada has, I think, $150 billion in like a reprisal package in case Trump does put their tariffs on him.
Yeah.
And they're not alone. Mexico also says that they've got a similar tariff package ready to go,
Oh, right.
as does
Okay.
Europe as well.
Yeah, I know
So
the EU have. So they're going to retaliate. So it's going to be full on trade war with America from all angles. There's going to be no one really. So, well, maybe Russia. Maybe Russia will swing in and save the day for Trump and his mates. Wouldn't that be ironic? No, it wouldn't actually, because they're all, you know, they're all scumbags, all scumbags. To a T. Okay, so what about if you are the leader of Hungary? What if you are Viktor Orban? How are you feeling about
I
the
think if
inauguration?
you're well, we haven't talked enough about Hungary, I think, but Hungary and Viktor Orban isn't in the best position. His poll numbers have been in the slump a bit in Hungary.
Yeah,
He does seem to be on a downward direction, because remember, this is a guy who's been again in power for over a decade
yeah.
and has constantly, danced Hungary to the tune that he is the only guy who can, save Hungary, who can, make Hungary great again, who is the guy who can, cure all the ills of the country. But
Yeah.
if you've been in power that long, singing that tune, eventually people are going to go, well, hold on. You said that not just last time, but 2 times ago, and people are starting to catch on.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But Viktor Orban has done a lot of damage, which people think Trump might try and replicate in America, looking at Trump threatening to sue media outlets. And this time, if you are
Well, he's
watching,
already done that. He's already sued. He sued. What was it? ABC, was it, for
yeah,
saying that he was a rapist, which he is.
well, I was also sued them for, well, also trying to sue CNN for saying that, it was a lie that he lost the 2020 election, the big lie.
Yeah.
So he's already trying to sort of censor the press into silence. He's
Well,
already
it was
making these
shocking. It was
moves.
absolutely shocking to see how how Musk's Nazi salute that he didn't get covered by the mainstream media at
Mm.
all. Like it was so quiet. It wasn't on the
I
front
think
cover of any
sometimes,
newspaper. I mean, imagine if he'd had a beer with a curry during lockdown. I mean, that would have been it, mate. That would have been on the front cover of all the
yeah,
newspapers every day for 2 weeks. You know, if he'd had a beer with a fucking curry in fucking
yeah, I think
lockdown.
sometimes what you've got to look at with Trump and Musk and everything else is they'll sometimes do something, insane and crazy, but that's the point. That's the distraction.
Yeah,
So if they do something insane and crazy, don't just look at, oh, okay, what have they done? What else is going on?
yeah,
And I think that was the plan there by Elon to do a imitation Nazi salute, because he was just being, edgy edgy Elon, shall we say? But
No, he's a Nazi.
oh no, I think he was doing it entirely because he wanted to be edgy.
No, I think
Um,
he's doing it entirely because he is literally a Nazi. I think that he actually wants to throw people in camps and murder them, men, women, and children. He's a fucking psychopath. The
well,
man's
have you seen?
and do you know what he said? He said, "Oh, I've got autism." That's it. Or his defender said, "Oh, he's got autism. Let him off." Which is
Yeah,
disgraceful, hiding behind autism as a reason to be a psychopath. It's just not on. You've got to let Hitler off. He's on the spectrum. No, there
have you
are
seen some
millions of
of
people
the
on the
executive
spectrum who aren't
orders?
Nazis. Yes, yes. Well, we were talking just before he came on about his executive order to pardon 1,600 violent criminals, one of whom was in jail for 22 years,
Yep,
and now they can buy guns,
yep.
all of them.
So that was the leader of the Proud Boys, I think it was
Yes,
Henry Enrique Taro, I
yeah,
believe his name is. But yeah, he was in jail for seditious conspiracy.
yeah,
Um, and of course now he's not anymore.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so there's a lot of people suddenly who were in prison that are not anymore, and that sends a very very worrying message, very very worrying message indeed. Um,
yeah,
I've often said, it's not. Don't just look at Germany for how people fell into like fascism.
yeah,
Japan is another example of a country that fell into a fascism in a completely different way.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, Italy, Spain,
Italy, yeah,
Portugal,
like I say,
Argentina,
they all went down these very different
Congo,
routes, but they all
yeah,
end up at the same
Libya,
destination.
Russia, despots, despots to the left of me, despots to the right of me. But I mean, the fact that like the Democrats are like, oh, we'll beat them in the courts. I'm like, fucking, you're not gonna. The courts are just gonna either snarl things up for 2 years while they're not gonna say, oh, you've got to stop doing these raids, these
Yeah,
immigration raids.
yeah. So one of the things that has happened immediately on that is Trump signed an executive order that pretty much says you can't, if someone is born here, um, birthright citizenship, that's the 14th Amendment,
Yeah,
um, always has been pretty much interpreted if you are pretty much born in America, you are pretty much granted automatic citizenship. Um, this has been a big attack point for the right for quite some time. Immediately, this has now been challenged in court.
yeah,
Like immediately after it was signed, I think there was definitely an organization who were probably ready for this and have now taken this to court. So we'll see how far this goes. This could end up going all the way to Supreme Court. So if it does, it could probably take maybe a year and a half, 2 years maybe, but this could end up in the Supreme Court. And then, well, we
and then
know
all
which way
bets
the
are off,
Supreme
aren't
Court
they?
leads.
Yeah, they're all in his
So,
pocket.
yeah, you could see them sort of support this law, and then this is when you might see them maybe try and change like the 14th, but that would require like a massive like constitutional
Yeah,
um convention by like the states. Whether they would be able to do that or not, I think that's definitely a question. Like I say, I'm not 100% sure on what the rules would be for that, but yeah, it wouldn't be easy for them to do. But if they can get it to the Supreme Court, and then maybe they can ride it out for as long as they can,
yeah.
during that time, we'll see.
So we had Maloney and Javier Milei at the inauguration yesterday, and they're both fascists themselves.
Yeah.
Milei being the
Millet was
biggest.
probably begging Trump to send him more US dollars, which
Well, yeah.
Trump is not going to do because I suspect they'll be telling him, yeah, we can't print more money for Argentina.
Well, he wants to get rid of the Argentinian peso, doesn't he, and replace it with the US dollar, which he sees as a more stable currency. And he's driven poverty rates in Argentina over 50%, and yet he's as popular now as he was when he was elected a year ago. Like, that's a sign of what might happen with Trump. He might make people's lives an abject misery, but as long as he's making the right people's lives an abject misery, then he'll continue to get support.
Again, that won't last too long either. I think you can only annoy so much of the public for so long before eventually they will push back.
Yeah.
They will certainly push back on that eventually. I mean, you can't have like I say, what's going on in Argentina go on for too long. Most of it is conservatives hoping that, oh, Milei's finally doing all the stuff, we wanted to do, but we never thought we could get away with, so we're going to support him at least for the time being. And there has been some, slight moderation, depending, but he's still, communicating with his dead dog to receive,
Yeah, but
economic
people don't
advice.
care about that, Ollie. We care
Um,
about that because we're sane. But the people who support people like Trump and people like Milley, they don't give a fuck. We keep
yeah.
thinking that one day the people who support Nigel Farage will wake up and see the light. They never fucking will. And this is something where, we talked about, not you necessarily, but like people said, oh, you know what? If Farage does get elected, that'll be good because that'll mean that when he stands up in Parliament, people will ask him questions. No, they don't ask him fucking questions. He's an opposition MP. Like, he doesn't have to answer anyone's questions. He doesn't take Prime Minister's questions. He's not a minister. He doesn't have to take questions. And so all he does is stand up in a room where he is literally immune from prosecution for slander, libel, or defamation, and he can say whatever the fuck he wants. And we're paying him all this money to not represent his constituency. And I like this idea of what is it? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. I don't believe it anymore. I really don't, because there's nothing that these motherfuckers can do that will make people who support them not support them. Nothing.
Oh, so here is some good news for you then, Graham, because I thought you might like this update on what happened. South Korea, they've arrested
Yes.
the former president.
They have finally,
Yes.
because I think our last episode was like, so they got to arrest him or what?
Yeah, they tried to arrest him and they failed.
Yeah.
Now they have arrested him. He is now in custody, but he's refusing to answer questions. So just a continuing of that saga. But yeah, I think very, very quickly, I think the party he is a part of is pretty much abandoning him very, very, very quickly. And he's becoming very, very isolated in sort of South Korea. So yeah.
Anthony Fisher says, probably silly question, but in 3 to 4 years' time, do you think any of the MAGA people will say, remember when Biden was in and things weren't as bad? No. Honestly, I can't stress this enough. There are people out there who have had their lives torn apart by Brexit. They've lost their job. They've lost their company. They may have lost their house. They've lost communication with their grandchildren. They don't see them anymore. They've moved to Australia. And yet they still think that Brexit is a great idea. It just wasn't done properly. And that's what they'll do. They'll make excuses, like a mother who makes excuses for her wayward son, who's a psychopath and been banged up for murdering people. And they'll go, yeah.
Well,
but
this will be the interesting thing to watch for the next 4 years, because we saw just a couple of weeks ago where Trump and Musk pretty much torpedoed a budget very, very unnecessarily, and the Republicans were like, "What are you doing? Like this is insane. You're about to take power, and you are threatening. Yeah, you are threatening like a government shutdown.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it will be very, very interesting to see how far the Republicans are willing to go with him on some of this stuff. Yeah. Because I am not convinced all the Republicans are going to go for him that far. Because there is another that, while, shall we say, you probably were all watching like the crazy and madness of what was the Attorney General? Deanie I can't remember her name now. Trump's Attorney General pick.
Thingy Bondi.
That's it, Bondi. While everyone was watching Bondi, I watched 4 hours of pure boredom watching Marco Rubio in his confirmation hearing.
Yeah.
I don't agree with Marco Rubio. I don't agree with everything that he was saying in his foreign policy stuff. But there is someone who you could talk to and you could understand his philosophy. You could understand where he was coming from. You could understand,
Pam Bondi.
Like why he was doing that stuff. There was a certain logic to why he was doing some of that stuff. And remember, Marco Rubio is now the pretty much foreign secretary. So he is in charge of Trump's foreign policy. And I generally have to ask the question, either A, how long is he going to last? Because we saw,
well, there's a
Trump's
certain
last
amount of churn in the last administration.
Yeah, exactly. We saw that churn because he is like the most uncontroversial pick I think Trump has chosen. Like
Yes.
you could put them a lineup, and honestly, like I would choose Marco Rubio every single day over pretty much almost everyone other
There's
of his
one
picks,
guy
and I still don't like Marco Rubio.
There's one guy who's a sex offender who raped a woman behind the woman who is having an affair with's back, behind his wife's back as well. And they never proved it. So it's like, well, it was never proven. And this pisses me off. And it goes back to something that we talked about on this channel before, is that when there is an accusation made of sexual assault, and we men go, oh, innocent until proven guilty, innocent until proven guilty, innocent until... You're actually saying that the victim is guilty of what's it called when you lie in court? What's the word? Not slander. When you lie in court.
Oh, defamation.
No, when you lie in court.
I can't
What's the
remember
bloody word? I'm having an absolute brain fart here. Someone's going to say in the chat in about 30 seconds time. We're going, oh, that's the word. It's that actual crime to lie to police officers. It's a lie to crime. It's a crime to lie.
Perjury. That's it.
You both got that exactly the same moment. Did you look it up, or did it just come to you?
No, it came. I said, "Oh yeah,
perjury."
And then we must acknowledge David Lilly, who also typed it as well.
Oh yeah, David Lilly. Thank you very much. Perjury. That's the word. That's the word that was on the tip of our brains. But yeah, you're essentially saying that the victim is guilty of perjury. If you want to say that you're innocent until proven guilty, no, we don't know whether you're innocent. We don't know whether you are guilty. We might hold an open mind about it until after the case, but seriously, you cannot say that that person is innocent until proven guilty without, in a situation like that, where it's two people and someone said, someone did this to me, you are accusing the other person of being guilty of perjury from the start. They are guilty until they are proven they are not perjuring themselves, which is, not a great way of looking at things. And it's very, you can tell how our legal system is so geared towards the needs of middle class, middle age, middle income, white guys.
And that's something else to watch I'll watch for as well for the next 4 years, because Pam Bondi is going to be Trump's attack dog. Anything she possibly can, she's going to go after on Trump's orders. That's why going on his way out, Biden signed those pardons, not only his family, he signed them for the January the 6th committee as well. Fauci also got a pardon as well, because, absolutely, they would go after Fauci. Oh, they would go after Fauci in a heartbeat if they could. They would just drag him through hearings and things like that. And a perfect example is what happened to Hillary Clinton. They knew
Benghazi, 13, was it 13 investigations into Benghazi?
They knew they had nothing on her. They just enjoyed dragging her through.
Wasting
even though
time.
They knew they didn't.
Because some of that mud sticks. Which
exactly.
Did. What about them emails?
What was another one that happened? He's done something recently as well. There was another executive order he signed, and it was about that. That's it. The weaponization of government against political adversaries.
Oh, an act.
So this is another one of the like over 100 that was signed. This is again against the weaponization of the government, courts essentially. Against, and he has signed this, and all this stuff is going to get reviewed against what happened during the Biden administration. So there is now a lot of fear by civil servants who were doing their job. I think I'm going to get taken to court by Pam Bondi because I was doing my job, because I was, quote, weaponizing the government under his definition. And Pam Bondi's definition as well. So I think there's we talked about countries nervous. I think there's a lot of American civil servants who are very nervous as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But this is the whole thing. He just wants everyone to be so
Mm.
afraid that they just capitulate, and they
And
fight
of
amongst
course, there's
themselves
now a
because they're
freeze
afraid.
on government hiring until the Trump administration is in full control,
Wow.
which, given how bad some of his picks are,
Yeah.
some of these people aren't going to get through confirmation hearings for at least another maybe, maybe 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might take a lot of time to get the quote full control of the government that Trump wants.
Yeah.
And during that time, if you're in the civil service, you're in office. If someone leaves, like someone might get another job, you can't hire anyone.
Yeah.
Because Trump has said, right, you can't hire anyone until I say so.
Yeah.
There are going to be departments that are going to have very, very difficult functioning because people leave jobs all the time for various different reasons.
Yeah.
We had the other thing was the guy who was after Trump, one of the prosecutors, he's just taken a job in Europe. Yeah, he's now I think he's working for the EU, or
Right.
he's working somewhere in Europe, because
Yeah.
he was like, right, I'm getting out of Dodge because
Yeah.
he's
Well,
worried
that's what I
that they're going to
suggested to
come
people.
after
Get
him.
out while you can. Get out of us. If you can get out of America, get the hell out of America. If you can't, have a grab bag ready. If you need to go to another state, where you're not going to be pursued for who you are. But we've got an update. Eileen Cannon, the judge who was in the documents case, who just treaded water for as long as she possibly could and brought up absolute bullshit nonsense to slow down the case until Trump got re-elected and she didn't have to do it. She has blocked the release to a small group of lawmakers a former special counsel's Jack Smith's report on his aborted prosecution of Trump in the classified documents case. She's blocked it. What a fucker. And then Elon Musk apparently is going to be moving into the White House with Donnie.
Yeah.
Moving into the White House, ladies and gentlemen.
Department of Doge, and he's going to have 20 employees apparently. So that'll be another fun thing to watch. What kind of crazy idea that the Musk and the boys down at the Doge department are going to come up with?
Yeah. He's also brought. He wants to impose economic sanctions against the ICC, the International Criminal Court, for pursuing Benjamin Netanyahu. We haven't mentioned this. So, what do you think Israel's take on this? I mean, Israel, it is just mission accomplished. If you want to look down the lens of you had a tremendously unpopular leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, who's on his way out, not just on his way out, on his way to jail when he gets out, and he came up with a plan. It was very simple. He was going to let Hamas do what Hamas do, build up weapons and eventually do some terrorist atrocity. And Hamas just did exactly what Netanyahu wanted them to do, which was to murder a bunch of innocent Israeli civilians, and then kidnap a bunch of them. So he had an excuse to prolong the war, the conflict. They did exactly what he wanted. And this whole thing destabilized the Democrats, made them look weak, made them look bad, especially to a lot of members of their own base who felt they weren't doing enough to save Palestine, to help the people of Gaza. And it only took a few million votes for, 1% of the votes to go the other way for Trump to win this, which is what happened. And I just look at what's happening in Gaza and the people who didn't vote for Kamala Harris on the grounds that she wasn't doing enough doing enough for the people of Gaza. And then you think about what Trump's going to do, because he would allow Netanyahu to raise the place to the ground. He'll allow him to annex it if he wants. If he just wants to take Gaza,
that's the next worrying thing. What's going to happen there?
Yeah,
because everyone's excited about the ceasefire, but it's what comes after that. Yeah. It's what happens after that now that is going to count. Probably the next sort of year or so, we're probably going to see what the peace process will potentially look like. Will this ceasefire hold? Will it lead to a lasting peace? Will it find that as well? But you've also got to worry about Ukraine as well. I worry about what Trump might do in Ukraine. Certainly on that front, that could prove quite worrying as well. There's certainly, JD Vance is no big fan of Ukraine either, but Marco Rubio, again, the adult in the room,
Yeah.
has come in and said, yeah, we can't really just abandon Ukraine. We've got to keep supporting them. And, we can't let Russia win, which is, again, coming from Marco Rubio, a fantastic thing to hear him say. And I never thought I would say that about someone like Marco Rubio. It's weird him being the adult in the room. And
Yeah.
I said it before and I'll say it again. I do not know how long he will last.
Yeah.
Because we saw last time the Trump administration was just a complete revolving door.
Yeah.
So who knows? But there's
I
a
mean,
lot of problems out there.
for the people who didn't vote for Kamala because of Gaza, they've just made a bad situation so much worse by effectively lending their vote to Trump, even if they didn't vote for Trump. The fact that the vote share went down for the Democrats so much that Trump managed to squeak it. I mean, he got less than 50% of the overall vote. It was a very, very close election, but he won in all 7 battleground states. Obviously, he had help. He had every billionaire in the world on his side. He had Elon Musk putting out his misinformation all over Twitter, and he had a couple of attempted assassinations, which helped him out. And it was interesting going through those same motions again last year, because I remember it back in 2016 where he was doing these batshit insane things. Like, he wasn't giving rallies in the swing states that he needed to win. He was giving them in other places. Like, he was going to Nebraska and places. And I'm like, why are you going to fucking Nebraska? That just makes no sense. And what the left failed to understand in 2016 and again failed to understand 8 years later is it's not the point. It's not the point that he's in a particular state or doing, but he wants to be in the news every day. He wants to make sure that his ugly fucking gob shit of a face is in the news every day. So we all have to look at him like a mad dictator from,
the Ed Davey strategy. People called him mad, having going on an adventure holiday, a general election, it looked like. But hey, it got him in the news.
70
got
MPs.
him all the attention it needed.
Got 70
MPs. Worked out well.
It worked. And I think on the left, a lot of people just go, oh, the results will speak for themselves. But they fucking don't. And we've talked on this channel ad nauseum about how shit Labour comms are and how shit the Democrat comms are. But this is a real issue right now. Like, we are really suffering from the fact that the people who are actually competent at this job of being a politician, of getting things done, are absolutely incompetent in every way at getting that message out and going, look what we've done. Do you know what it reminds me of? There is a running joke, isn't there, about like Britain is great at inventing things, like, but it's shit at marketing them. It's shit at like being the world leader in that thing that we invented.
Yeah.
Or it could be a book, like where the 3 of the biggest franchises of all time in Hollywood, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and James Bond, all adapted from British books. That's not even mentioning all the sci-fi that we've given America, like, going back to H.G. Wells. Also, you've got Frankenstein, the very first sci-fi novel. You've got Dracula and all that gothic horror. You've got Sherlock Holmes. You've got so many amazing characters that Hollywood has made literally billions of dollars out of. Why are we making those movies ourselves?
Well, we did at one point. There was a time where, we were the place beating Hollywood. The big problem then became was loads of money just got put into Hollywood, and the summer blockbuster became a thing, and that sort of sunk the UK film industry. We do have still a lot of
I think the shit films,
the studios, the things like that that's here.
Yeah, we got the artists, we got the directors. Don't forget Christopher Nolan is half British. You've got
there's a lot of stuff that needs to be spotted on there.
I know Stanley Kubrick was technically American, but he lived in Britain most of his life. He was an Anglophile, like he's basically British. But he filmed all his films mostly in the UK. So Eyes Wide Shut, which is set in New York, was actually filmed in Hampshire or somewhere. It wasn't filmed in New York. But like, we've got the talent, we've got the actors, we've got the directors, we've got the cinematographers. Is it Roger Deakins, or is he out of Queen? Is Roger Deakins out of Queen? What's the name of the cinematographer? His surname's Deakins. He did the cinematography for Atonement and other amazing films. But unfortunately, Atonement came out in the same year as No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood. So it had quite a lot of competition for the old cinematography Oscar at the Oscars. But there's a brilliant shot in Atonement where it's the beach at Dunkirk where they're evacuating, and there's like a Ferris wheel. It's all like one big take, and there's just thousands of extras on the beach. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, he didn't win. But there you go. If someone wants to tell me what his name is, because I'm for some reason I think Roger Deakins. I just think of Queen. John Deacon was in Queen. Okay, so it was Roger Deakins then. I'm gonna get me Deacon blues mixed up. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to derail the conversation to go on about the British film industry.
Oh, that's another thing that's
better.
worth mentioning. He's ended the Green New Deal, but he's not just ended the Green New Deal. He's potentially starting to pull apart the Inflation Reduction Act,
Yes.
which actually, for us and for the rest of Europe, is actually a very good thing.
Well, it's not a good thing for the environment, though, is it?
Well, but here's the thing. The Inflation Reduction Act, those of you who don't know, this was a big act to try and, again, reduce inflation. But a big part of that was subsidies. And these subsidies have pulled companies that were going to sort of set up here in the UK. I think I said last week about the one that was happening potentially in Sheffield that got pulled away by an American company by this act, by the stuff the same happening in Europe as well. Because he's ended this Green New Deal, he has now started to pull apart that entire Inflation Reduction Act. And once that goes, even though trust me, if you are in America, the Inflation Reduction Act was one of like the really good things that Biden did. However, if you weren't in America, the Inflation Reduction Act, kind of a bit of a problem, but he's actually pulling that apart. So we've now got a situation where probably a lot of companies who were thinking of going to America because of the subsidies that they would get through the Inflation Reduction Act are now thinking again. Yeah. So, if you want a silver lining, Trump is doing the bull in the china shop, and he's destroying something that was already really good.
Yeah.
So, hey, silver lining sometimes, but there you go.
Well, I mean, we could go through all the other shit that he's doing. His executive orders, ending birthright citizenship, which we've mentioned, leaving the WHO, the World Health Organization.
Yes. That's going to have such a terrible effect.
They supply the WHO with about 5%, 20% of its budget, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, remember, the WHO does so much around the world. It doesn't just monitor outbreaks, pandemics, or like diseases. Does so much stuff with like vaccinations in like third world countries and all this kind of stuff. So the WHO losing like 20% of his budget, as you said, is going to be big.
Yeah,
not only that,
millions of people are going to die, but then a lot of Americans are going to die as well.
Because you've just had that outbreak of bird flu.
Yeah,
and if that mutates, if that becomes the next pandemic, the WHO not allowed to operate in America then.
Yeah.
So then they can't spread that knowledge to other countries. And remember, you're possibly going to have someone like JFK, who is 100% anti-vax. The MAGA crazy,
RFK, not JFK.
100% against masks, lockdowns, everything that happens.
Millions
if there is
die.
another pandemic, it will be a disaster.
I said on my show this morning, or yesterday, billions will suffer, millions will die. It's simple as that. All of his policies are inhumane, like inhuman. They're against humans. They are for money. Worshipping at the altar of the golden fucking ram. Do you know what I mean? They the golden calf. They don't care about you and me. They don't care about anyone but themselves, and they have the money to get the best private, everything. And his cavalier attitude towards disease. The more a disease spreads amongst any given population, every time that disease replicates itself, there's a chance of a mutation that we can't deal with. Every time. And you're thinking about something that replicates itself in one squishy human a million times, millions and millions of times. Never mind millions of squishy humans. You're talking trillions of times that has a potential to mutate into something that can wipe out half the population of the world. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Like a prick. He's revoked electric vehicle targets. So in the UK,
yeah.
we've got a binding
I bet Musk's happy about that.
Yeah, he's got a binding target in the UK for 2030 for all new electric cars to be all new cars to be electric. Whereas in the States, it's only half of all new cars to be electric, and it's only a non-binding executive order. Like it's just like a nice to have. So he's getting rid of that. He's reclassified all federal employees, making them political hires rather than federal employees, to make it easier for him to fire them. So he's going to make the civil service of America political.
Yeah, that's all Project 2025.
Yeah,
pretty much destroying the administrative state.
The deep state is going to destroy it. But then it's going to be challenged in court. All this is going to be challenged in court. He's declaring a national energy emergency because his dickheads who follow him think that
everything's an emergency.
He's going to get the price of fuel back down to $1, as we spoke about on Stateside last night. He wants to drill, but that's going to face legal challenges, obviously, because people are very quick to say, yeah, drill. But then when it's in their backyard that they're drilling, they're like, oh, actually, no. He's paused the TikTok ban. He's rescinded.
Yeah, can we talk about that TikTok ban quickly?
Yeah.
So obviously Biden brought this in the TikTok, and remember, originally TikTok had like 90, I think it was like 94 days, and they tried to fight this in court, and they didn't win. So obviously this ban sort of went into effect, and now Trump has given them, I believe, 70 days, like either 70 days, 72 days, or something like that. And Trump has said this in this particular executive order, I'm giving the power to either, sell it or shut it down. So all I'm going to say this to the people who are re-enjoying TikTok now that, quote, Trump has saved it. You've got 72 days of TikTok left, and enjoy it. Because I don't think anyone's going to buy it.
Well, Musk and Zuckerberg, I think one of them will buy it.
Well, it depends if they want to sell it. I don't think ByteDance, who owns TikTok, wants to sell it. I just basically think straight up, why would we sell it? TikTok is used more, not only just in America, around the world. That means losing all that coverage as well. I don't think they're going to sell it. But, if you're re-enjoying TikTok again, like I say, you've only got it for 70 days. So enjoy it while you last.
Yeah. We've got a super chat coming from Tim Ballum. Sorry. Thank you very much for that, Tim. Faka. Says Tim Ballum. I don't quite know what that means. I don't know if I want to. I don't want to know what that means. But yeah, faka. And then we'll just go back to the other stuff. So he's rescinded almost 80 Biden era executive actions, and he wants to push for a colorblind and merit-based society. This is the nepo baby of all fucking nepo babies. So it's just going to be white. Well, actually, not just white. It's just going to be rich people. Because don't forget, like the fact that you have people like Kemi Badenoch and people like Rishi Sunak getting to the top of the Tory party, it's not because of diverse DEI. They're not DEI hires, but they certainly went to fucking private school, mate.
Climb the way up the greasy pole. Although, how long Kemi Badenoch last? Who knows?
Oh God, we'll see. She's so bad at it. She is comically bad at that job. It makes me laugh. It does cheer me up, I have to say. Because she's just awful. I can't believe how bad she is at it. Like, it's quite remarkable. I don't even think that Suella Braverman, as shit as she was, would be as shit as that. And that's saying something, because she's shit. Privately educated as well. Anyway, so the pardons for the January the 6th rioters, the criminals there. Withdrawing from the Paris Climate Change Agreement. We've got 8 minutes, so do you want to tell us all the terrible things that are going to happen as a result of this?
Yeah. So again, this is in Trump's inauguration speech. He talked about how no, it wasn't his inauguration speech. It was the after party of his inauguration speech where he said this. Um, he talked about how the reason why they were leaving this is because China still pollutes. And when China pollutes, it goes up into the sky and it comes over here and it rains on your picnic. Bit of a strange analogy,
Okay.
but Trump's right. Trump's right in that regard. Yes, China has done a lot of polluting. They're not the only country that
China.
have not yet
Hang on.
made a transition from fossil fuels.
Isn't Australia and America, USA, aren't they like the most polluting countries in the world per capita?
Yep. Like I say, Australia's just discovered a massive oil field right in the center of Australia as well.
Yeah.
So they are getting in on that. But the big message that really should take away from what Trump said is, well, okay, if another country that is still polluting is such a problem, why then are we not, as the international, countries that we are, coming together to help stop climate change and tackle climate change together? I don't know, like the Paris Climate Accords that you just left.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be disastrous. I mean, you've just seen the absolute disaster that's going on in California.
Yes.
With the wildfires there.
Genuine
there
disaster.
will be
yep.
or weather-related disasters during Trump's presidency.
Absolutely.
Hurricanes, floods, probably more fires as well.
Yeah.
You'd think maybe they'd learn.
Yeah.
You'd think maybe they'd learn, but no.
Yeah.
No.
I've just kicked Northern Powerhouse from the chat. Just calm down. Like, just don't be mean and nasty, and just don't fight with people in the chat. There's plenty of other platforms to go on. There's plenty of other channels on here. There's over 1 million YouTube channels that you can go on if you want to start fights with people. Just don't come on this one. Just fuck off. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. So yeah. The environment is a real concern, and do you know what? There's this weird thing going on now in my head. Well, there's often weird things going on in my head, but at the moment, I'm just thinking, mate, like it's gonna be up to China to save us. China is gonna, that's our only hope at the moment, because the EU's not gonna get its fucking acting gear anytime soon, is it? When it comes to the climate. I mean, Norway's great at making noises. Well, it's not part of the EU, but it's part of Europe. It's great at making noises about how important it is for all the Norwegians to have electric cars. Like, all the cars sold in Norway last year were electric. That's great, but also they're one of the biggest oil exporters in the world. So it's kind of like, very clean living, mom and pop picket fence who are actually, porn stars. Anyway, so they've got the facade. But in the background, there's something dodgy going on. Tim, thank you very much for the super chat. FACA makes Doge illegal. That's from Tim. So FACA makes Doge.
Yeah, the Federal Advisory Committee Act.
Yeah.
Essentially. But like I say, Trump has signed an executive order.
Yes. Yeah. But do you know what else might save us? Do you know what else might save us? Capitalism. Do you know why? Because it's cheaper to make energy from the wind and from the sun than it is to pump it out the ground and burn it. Sorry, pump it out the ground, transport it to where it needs to be, and then burn it. It's cheaper to not do that. It's cheaper just to pluck it from the air, literally.
Yeah. It's something that, again, we need to really sort of invest in, and we're getting there. We are getting there. Ironically, because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the speeding up of the transition in Europe was sped up. There were a lot of projects, really kickstarted, really given the boot because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, knowing that they were no longer going to get Russian gas
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
So it is it has helped, of course, but it's depressing that it took an invasion of another country to sort of kickstart it in many ways. But yeah, we are seeing that transition. Ed Miliband, really good. Gets it. He gets the net zero transition. He's a really, really good cheerleader.
Yeah, but also
for
he's wasting our
the
money
net zero
on
transition.
daft shit like carbon capture and hydrogen, which are a huge fucking waste of money.
Yeah.
Because he needs to keep the oil industry sweet because, they have all the power at the end of the day. They're the people who put Trump into power. Them and the social media people like Bezos and Zuckerberg and Musk. But the fact that in 1984, the book, not the film. Sorry, the book, not the year, but also the film. The final order was to ignore the evidence of your own eyes and ears, and all those mealy-mouthed fuckers who saw Musk last night doing a Sieg Heil, doing a fascist salute twice, and going, "Oh no, he didn't." Gaslighting the rest of us. Oh, it was a Roman salute. Yeah, you do know that the Roman salute was adopted by the Nazis, well, by the fascist party of Italy under Benito Mussolini, and then adopted by the Nazis.
Mm.
And so for us, obviously the mask is off. Like, they can do what the hell they like, and their defenders will always defend them. And that is possibly the most tragic thing of all this. It's just how debased people will make themselves in order to suck up to these billionaire nepo baby fuckbags who wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire unless they could piss petrol.
Mm.
And that's something dark in the the bosom of humankind that I don't know if we can do anything about.
I mean, the other thing that's worth watching out for as well is does how much Trump will help California?
Doesn't help
Because
at all.
I think because last time in his administration, California was like the constant, place of resistance, fighting back against Trump.
It's got a nice big border with Mexico.
Yeah, I think this time, using that as an excuse, I think he's going to hold back funds. Yes. I think he's going to hold back a lot of funds.
Absolutely.
And I think that might piss off a lot of people in California.
But when that California is a net federal tax contributor to America, whereas all the red states are net takers. Yep. There's a net deficit every year from the places like Alabama, Louisiana, places that consistently vote for Trump.
It's just gonna make California even more annoyed at Trump.
So the Reagan elite saying Trump will hold back funds for them. If he does, then there's going to become a point where Gavin Newsom says, "Well, fuck you, then we're not going to give you any money. No taxation without representation, matey." And that's it,
Cal exit.
Yeah.
We'll secede from the union.
I don't think they'll go that far.
I don't think they'll go that far.
I don't think they would leave the United States.
If Gavin Newsom deployed that against Trump, you know how we talked about Trump always goes for like the most extreme position.
Yeah.
Like, Gavin Newsom should just turn around and just go, okay, we should be talking about California seceding from the union then, if that's how you're going to act, and just have like the most extreme position.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, that's your position you want there. So that would certainly make Trump very, very worried on that front, because that's using his own tactic back against him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just, if anyone's watching from the States and wants to make movies, please come over here and make them for the next few years. And if you can quit America, just, in your everyday life, I know it's very, very difficult because so many things that we use are made by American companies, and so many things we eat and so many things we consume and everything else. But if you have the choice between Greasy Spoon Cafe or Starbucks, go for the Greasy Spoon, man. Go for the Greasy Spoon. Get a nice cup of greasy tea. You got the choice between McDonald's and a kebab shop. Go get a fucking kebab. Who doesn't love a kebab? Vegetarians, that's who don't love a kebab. Get a falafel.
Yeah.
It can be done. Just don't. Just if they see their profit margins just go down by 1%, they'll freak out. They'll be like, "Oh my god, we need to grow every year. We need to grow. We need to grow and grow and grow and grow forever." And if they don't grow, then they're going to shit themselves. And that's why social media has got so shit over the last few years. The end-shitification of the internet. It's because they're desperate to keep the growth going. They're not happy with just making enough. Just making the same amount every year. No, they've got to make more every year. So
yeah, it's free market. The free market fundamentalism. If line don't go up, then clearly you are a zombie company, and you have to die.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never enough, and it's so weird because there's so many good companies out there that do amazing things and continue going on every next year, but they're not making, like $1 billion more than they made last year, and just
they don't need
growth
to.
Growth. They don't need to.
Are you paying your employees a decent wage? Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay. If you're not, fuck off. Especially if you're going around the world on a private jet or in your massive fucking yacht. You're bragging about how you're the richest person in the world, but the people that are working for you are living hand to mouth. It's disgraceful. But yes, Jesus Mackie D's is so expensive these days. Yeah, don't go to the Jesus chains. He'll always rip you off. Plankton and seagrass are threatened because of all the junk in the ocean stopping the sunlight getting through. Yep. I mean, the world's a fucking tip at the moment because an entire generation of people have just thrown shit away instead of recycling it, instead of, thinking about tomorrow. But there you go. Should we give up on YouTube because it's owned by Google? Eventually, yeah.
Well, it's where do we go?
Yeah, we need somewhere to go that we can actually monetize our content. But you never know, Ollie. If we get this the impressive foundation off the ground, the idea is that all of us content creators will get a basic wage each week. That's it. No strings attached. Just keep making content. That's the plan. So, stay tuned on that. It's going to take a bit of a while to get it all sorted, to get it all together. But that is the plan. Anyway, Ollie, I better leave it at that because I've got another show to make. Right. Hey! Just while I'm setting that up for everyone, because I'm going to try and take them over from this show to the other show. Is there anything that we've missed? Is there anything that we haven't touched on, like the shit that Trump is planning to do, or a take from a particular country like Denmark we haven't mentioned?
I want to talk about Operation Underwater Camera currently going on in the Baltic.
What's all this about?
So, as you may already know, last year there was an unprecedented number of. Well, once is an accident, twice is suspicious. But 3 times, well, come on, guys. That's the point where we need to have a look at that and go, yeah. So this is what we have been seeing for sort of the past year happening in the Baltic. Underwater cables constantly being damaged by ghost ships with by the Russian shadow fleet. Quite frankly, all the Baltic countries have had enough because some of these cables, if they were like seriously damaged, would be they'd be losing like £10 billion a day just from like the loss of that cable and the loss of the communication infrastructure on it. So that is something that needs protecting, and the Baltic countries have now got together. They've got a NATO task force out there now that is, patrolling out there now. Other countries are part of it as well. I believe we'll be sending a minesweeper ship in the next couple of months to take over patrolling there as well. So, yeah, hopefully with that, maybe that might stop. But maybe, the sabotage efforts move somewhere else. One of these ships that was recently caught in the Baltic was looking at the transatlantic one, which is one of the most important communication cables between America, the UK, France, and Germany. So, kind of important, if they're looking at other places and other cables, they could potentially try and sabotage. So we'll keep you updated, and I'll keep my eye on this to see what happens here. But yeah, don't be surprised if these NATO ships or these ships end up capturing or arresting some more ships going on in the Baltic.
Shit. Well, fun as this is, I've got to I've got to I've got to do something here. Well, I'm trying to get into the movement forward, but I've realised that because I'm producing it, if I sign out of the Politics Social YouTube thing, right, then it might cut the stream here. So I don't want to risk that. So I've had to open in incognito mode, which means logging in to Google, two-factor authentication, wait for a text. I've been doing this while producing the show here. But it's just that I need to go into the YouTube studio because there's something that you got to set up. You can't allow redirects unless you actually say that you want to allow redirects, I don't think. So I'm going to just try and do that now. And hopefully everyone will be able to just stay on this channel. Community moderation, hidden users, and all channels can redirect to my content. Yes, I've ticked the right box. I found that really quick. That's really good. I hate it when I'm just looking around the settings for like way too long, but I've done this before. So I kind of know what I'm doing. But have you got any, like, before we go, have you got any kind of like hope for the future? Like what's your sort of thing that's like sort of keeping you going?
Yeah, I would say just because Trump is in, it's not the end of the world. There will be people out there, both in the civil service, who will, whistle blow on some of the wrong stuff that ends up happening. There will be lawyers, there will be judges. There may even be Republicans who just go, you know what? This is a bit too far, even for us. So it's not the end of the world. He only has one more term left in him anyway. And of course, remember, he's really unhealthy.
He's really unhealthy,
really overweight. He is
really disgusting.
He is in Heart Attack City Central. So
back to Heart Attack City, as Bowie once sang.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. But like I say, there's
so
always
what you're saying. Basically, the hope is he'll die.
Well, yeah, that, and of course, remember, as I said earlier, he's picking apart the Inflation Reduction Act, which, remember, for Americans, really, really good. But for us here in the UK, where we've lost factories, we've lost manufacturing jobs because they've gone, oh, well, actually, we're going to move over to America because of all those nice subsidies because that they get through that act. Well, now they're thinking again because of that. So
think again.
That is a slight positive on that front.
A slight positive, just a very slight one. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, mate. It's a lot. Anyway, so I'm gonna sign off now, but you're going to be automatically transported to the next live stream that's starting over on the Movement Forward channel. It's a new channel that's just started, and it's called Importing Disinformation with Rene DeRista, who's an author who's written a book about misinformation and how the truth is being manipulated. The subtitle is How the UK Can Defend Trust, Truth and Democracy. I won't be hosting it. I won't be there, but hopefully it'll be pretty good. Some nice little flashy animations, maybe, because I'm producing it. And I like my flashy animations. So yeah, look out for that. There's 19 people waiting to watch it at the moment. And if you like it, please subscribe to the Movement Forward, who are our friends, Josh and Sean, and others who are just absolutely awesome and have been really supportive over the years. So good stuff. Anyway, Ollie, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching. Thank you for everyone who joined the chat, except that bloke who was a pain in the arse. And give us a like on the way out. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.
Bye.